Now, I think you probably know Todd Starnes. There's a lot of different ways to know him. Obviously, some folks here do. From his podcast, his columns, his books, TV appearances, his radio show. He's usually commenting on the news, but he's got a brand new book out, and it's a little different. It's about feeding your faith and your stomach. Here's the name of it: Our Daily Biscuit, Devotions with a Drawl. Please welcome Todd Starnes. I love the book.
Thank you. It's good to see you, Gov.
You know, I've always admired you come up with some classy titles for your books, and this may be the best one. But it's very different. This is not a political book.
No, it is not. And I told my my literary agent when Culture Jihad came out, which was my last book, How to Stop the Left from Killing America, I told him, I said, I want to write a book where I don't get too many death threats. And so he said, well, come up with an idea. Yeah. And, of course, I grew up across the Mississippi River from you over in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yep.
And I know my way around a barbecue joint. And I thought, you know what, we're going to write a book celebrating Southern life and the great values and the lessons that I learned growing up in the Deep South that really influenced, the person I was going to become in New York City.
You know, our audience doesn't know this, but when we were both at Fox News working out of New York, you and I, being the two token Southern boys on the entire team, would get on the subway, go up to Harlem, and look for barbecue joints with authentic Southern barbecue.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I wrote about one of those adventures looking for pulled pork and smoking a pork butt. And my copy editor was from the Bronx, and so she sent me an email. She goes, I don't understand smoked pork butt. Is that a euphemism for something? I don't understand that. So.
Well, I hope you send her a copy of Our Daily Biscuit.
Yes, and, I think this book is going to read well. We're working on a northern version called Our Daily Bagel. But instead of butter, you got to have a schmear. So.
I mean, who in the world, if they had a choice between a good biscuit with gravy on it, would pick a bagel, for heaven's sakes? What kind of person makes that choice?
Exactly. And it was really funny. Somebody sent me a note about our Amazon numbers, and of course, we wrote this based on, the Methodist Church, Our Daily Bread, the devotion series, and it turns out that Our Daily Biscuit beat Our Daily Bread in the Amazon rankings. So there you go.
The sequel, I guess, will be Our Daily Gravy or something
like that. Well, it's interesting because after every chapter, and we tell a lot of inspirational stories about Southern life and growing up, and we tell people that country really isn't a geographic location. It's a state of mind. And it's this idea of God and country, growing up and, sitting around the dinner table on Sunday and sharing those great stories. And after every lesson, every story that we share, we offer a spiritual life lesson that we call A Little Gravy on Top.
Ah, there you go. And there are recipes in here too, right?
Oh, yes. So we invited all of my radio listeners to send us recipes. And we had a group of ladies in Northern Virginia. They're called the Liberty Bells Literary Society, and they provided a lot of the recipes. Now, I'm a good teetotaling Southern Baptist governor, but it turns out when we were looking at the recipes, apparently the Liberty Bells are Episcopalian, but they assured us the liquor, it burns off.
Oh, I've heard that, yes.
Allegedly.
So theirs are a little bit non-Baptist in terms of the recipes,
Just
right?
a smidge,
yeah.
But you know what, we're ecumenical. And as a matter of fact, one of the stories we tell, Governor, involves your daughter. And of course, the infamous Piegate story, back when you had one of the folks in the White House press corps question whether or not her pie was homemade. We just tell people, unless you have a death wish, you don't want to question a Southern woman's pie.
Never question whether a Southern woman's pie is authentic, or you're going to hear those three words you dread hearing from a Southern woman. Bless your heart.
That's it.
And the other thing you often hear, Todd, somebody says that if a Southern woman ever says, "What did you say?" she's not asking you to repeat it.
No.
She wants to know if you're good with Jesus because you're about to meet him.
Governor, it's my inclination that there's not a problem in America that could not be solved if we sent a bunch of Southern grandmas to Washington, D.C., armed with cast iron skillets and switches.
I think you're absolutely right. That is the answer, Todd.
That's it.
Todd Starnes for president. I think let's get him on the ticket. When you wrote this book, as we've said, it's not a political book.
Right.
but you have taken very strong positions on topics, and it's gotten you in trouble.
It has, and we started tackling the cancel culture movement very early on, and it's a big problem in America. When you're banning books like To Kill a Mockingbird and Little House on the Prairie and Dr. Seuss, meanwhile, you're welcoming into the public libraries the Drag Queens for Story Hour. That's a big problem, and we've got to address that, and we've got to have the courage to stand up and confront those issues.
Are you worried that not enough people are willing to speak up? I mean, it seems like that there's a great silent majority of people, they eat biscuits, but they don't necessarily speak up at the school board meetings. Is that changing?
It is changing, and that is so encouraging. We have so many people calling into my national radio show, and they're talking about standing up at their local school board meetings. You know, people talk about wanting to take back Washington, but you know what? That is a sexy thing to do. We're going to take back Washington. But if you don't take back your local community first, you're never going to take back Washington. So the fight is local, and I think people are beginning to understand that.
I think so, too. You know, I think the new phrase ought to be, give back Washington. Let them keep it. Let's get our local communities. What you just said is 100% right. Well, this is the book, Our Daily Biscuit, Devotions with a Drawl, available now everywhere books are sold. And you can also find all of Todd's other books, his columns, radio show, the podcast. He's a busy guy. Go to toddstarnes.com. You'll also get his hot takes on the news by following him on Twitter.